Josh, are you a fan of the Pringles chips?
Huge fan.
Well, today's guest has created a product called the Good Crisp Chip, the Good Crisp Company. And this product is taken off. It's a chip that's replacing the Pringles. It's healthy. It's gluten-free. It's all natural. And they're doing really well in Whole Foods and 2,000-plus supermarkets across this great country. He's from Australia, and I believe he actually once starred in the hit show Friends. We'll see.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and flavored potato crisps. Matthew Parry, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Hey, here's the deal. My wife loves Whole Foods. You know, there's a certain make and model of woman who loves Whole Foods. Okay, they're proactive, they're organic, you know what I mean. They're wearing yoga pants. You can see them now. Lululemon. They're having fresh pressed juice, and I married one of those people. I tricked her into marrying me. I'm like a man bear pig. I'm the kind of guy who hangs out in the non-organic section of Walmart and looks for like Pringles. I'm cooking everything with Crisco. I'm living entirely off. I'm living off of McDonald's before I met her. She introduces me to the avocado. Therefore, I have seen these crisps in front of me, the Good Crisp Company, the original flavored potato crisps that I have in my hand. And rumor has it, are you the founder of this company?
I am indeed, yeah.
What? Tell us about your background, man. What made you want to start a company to compete with Pringles? I mean, that's like going against that's like you're going against Darth Vader. You know, it's like you're the rebels going against Darth Vader. They're like the Darth Vader of chips.
Exactly. They are the Darth Vader of chips. No, look, it was just, it came down to my lifestyle. I was looking to clean up what I was eating, not unlike yourself. I was fairly unhealthy and wasn't feeling great about myself. I just turned 30 and I thought, look, if I keep going down this path, I hate to see what I look like at 40 and 50 and 60, and it's not looking pretty. So I need to turn this around. On top of that as well, I had just had three young girls, and I thought, I'm not happy with the kind of snacks and food that we're feeding them. I don't want to send them down this same path that I'm on. So I need to clean up my act. And so I started to clean up my diet and what I was eating. And I loved eating Pringles. I loved the canister chip. It and lots of people still do. But it just didn't align with what I was trying to do on my diet. And I thought, well, there's got to be a healthier version out there, and looked around and there wasn't. And so lots of people have probably had the same thought. I guess what was a bit different for me is I've been in the food industry. I had a company in Australia that imported and sold other people's brands, so I was familiar with it. I had some contacts in the industry and was able to find a couple of manufacturers and worked on developing a product for myself and then ultimately that I could sell to other families as well.
Now, you grew up in Australia. Did you watch Star Wars as a kid? Did you watch Star Wars as a kid?
Of course, yeah.
You remember Jabba the Hutt?
Yes.
This is audio of what your life's going to be like if you're eating Pringles. Okay, let me cue it up. This is.
Yep.
You're going to end up looking like Jabba the Hutt. I mean, if you don't get out of the this is going to be you. I mean, Jabba the Hutt isn't that physically fit. I mean, I feel like a lot of people think he was physically fit, but he's not that physically fit. But if you want to look like Luke Skywalker, you got to switch over. So tell us about these crisps here. You had this idea. How did you get the capital to start the business? What'd you do? Did you borrow money from friends? Did you sell a kidney? What'd you do?
So we had I had a business in Australia already that was able to fund some of what we were doing.
Yeah.
But then eventually, we launched nationally in Walmart. We launched in Whole Foods. Or we're getting some really big customers, and we needed more money. So we got some outside investment. One of our investors, Circle Up, in that does investment in small emerging food brands. So we were able to get some initial capital to get us started and to really get the product out there. So yeah, it's very expensive to start a business in the US in the food side of things. So we did get some outside help to make that happen.
Well, let's get into the messy middle here. So what was the business you did before this? Or did you start Pringles?
That's right. Yeah. No, we were just, there was a distribution company essentially that imported natural food and other brands from around the world and imported them into Australia and sold them to the grocery markets in Australia. And so after about 10, 15 years of that, I thought, look, why am I doing it for other people's brand when I could be doing it for my own brand and my own product? And so that sort of, coincided with my healthier focus and then also coming up with this idea and so developed the product. And originally we were just going to launch it in Australia, but I came to a major trade show here in Anaheim in LA called the Expo West, massive trade show, and thought, wow, there's a huge industry here in the US. There's a huge demand for our product. I came and just put my product on the table. And people sort of really started to acknowledge it and would sort of do a double take and come back and say, wow, is that a healthy Pringle? We've been waiting for something like that. And stores would say, look, as soon as you get it, I want to buy it. Let me know. Here's my details. So I knew after that show that we really had an opportunity here. I mean, there was still a lot of work I had to do to make it come to life, but I knew within myself that there's absolutely a demand. If I can make this product, there's people here that will buy it. And so that's when I sort of switched my focus and thought, right, we do sell in Australia, but really I think there's a massive market here in the US.
Can you imitate the way Americans talk? Because people from Australia, I mean, you have a kind of certain accent. Do you imitate? I mean, could you do an American impersonation?
I won't do that for you. I think it doesn't sound good when people do Australian ones, so I can only imagine how bad it would sound if I tried to be an American voice. So I'll leave that one to you.
Should you feel the need? My roommate in college, his name was Clinton Clark, and my name is Clayton Clark. We found ourselves as freshmen, and I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. And he would imitate me, and he'd be like, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you go ahead and get off that bed? And I'm like, stop, we don't sound like that. And he's like, why don't, and then he offered me Vegemite, which I thought was, he said, it tastes just like peanut butter. And I believed him. And I took a bite of it, and I almost died. But I've recovered, and Vegemite, your chips here taste nothing like Vegemite. They taste very well. But how did you make the prototype for these chips? Did you just throw some stuff in the oven and you go, wada bing, boom, bam? Did you hire a cook, a chef? Did you what did the prototyping phase look like, and how did you get your first 10 customers?
Yeah, so I was fortunate that because I'd been working in the food industry, we had some good contacts in the manufacturing space. There's only a handful of people in the world that can make canister chips because Pringles has had such a strong hold on the market, and I was fortunate to know a couple of those, and so I was able to connect with them, and they really saw the opportunity and wanted to work with me on it. So I was able to use their facilities to work on it. I had the idea and the knowledge of the consumer and what we wanted to do, and they had the expertise in making the product, and they really make a good quality product. And so we're able to partner and to develop it together to then be able to take it out. And so, it took a lot of going back and forth trying to get the flavors right. And then even then when I thought I had it right, I had to go and then take it to the US and get consumers to taste it. And I realized then that the American palate and the Australian palate were very different.
Vegemite.
Like a lot more stronger and bolder and more robust flavors. So we had to really increase it to get it right. And then we finally did and get all the certifications. So that was the other thing that's unique to the US. In Australia, I can just put gluten-free on my product and that's that. But here, consumers are more skeptical. They're a bit more wary. And so you need to go and get third-party certifications to say this is certified gluten-free, this is certified non-GMO, and we're certified using natural ingredients. So we went and got all those certifications. And actually our first customer was Whole Foods in Northern California. So
how'd you get that deal? Did you cold call somebody? Did you show up? What were you doing? Were you throwing these canisters at people? How did you get your first deal?
Yeah, it was a lot of that. So we were just handing out canisters. We had a contact. So in the food industry, there's a lot of sales brokers that have sales force and go and know all these people. So we partnered with a broker in California Originally, I thought, well, California it's a larger economy than the whole of Australia. So if I just focus on California, I'll be fine. But unfortunately, or fortunately, it doesn't quite work that way. Other people want to sort of get the product as well. So we ended up going across the whole country. But initially, we were just focusing on California. So we got a broker, and they introduced us to the buyer. And when they tried it,
how'd you find your broker? How'd you find a broker? Somebody out there wants to know, how'd you find a broker?
So I found the broker at this trade show. So at this Expo West, it's an industry-only event. There's 80,000 people come past.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of brokers, a lot of salespeople. And I said, look, we really like your product. Would love to represent you when it's ready. Reach out to me. I know buyers. I know people. And so you have to wade through all of those different business cards and find the people who are actually genuine and those people that are just, saying a lot of things but not doing a lot.
Right.
So, and then since then we've found probably the number one broker in the natural food space called Presence Marketing, and they've just done an amazing job of getting out.
This is great. This is great stuff. So you're saying Presence Marketing. Is that presence like a present, like a gift?
As in like being present.
Okay, presence marketing, and then Expo West. That's where you went. I think we have listeners out there most of our listeners are business owners, so they're wanting to know this. Andrew, make sure you find that website. Put the link to both the trade show and to Presence Marketing. Now, I'm going to take a time out to eat some chips here while Josh, one of our show sponsors, he's with a company called Living Water Irrigation. They help provide irrigation for lawns or for people who've had too many chips. You want some irrigation, he gets you the liquid H2O you need there. Josh, welcome onto the show. And what questions do you have here for our main man, Matthew Parry, who had a brief career in the 90210 hit show before starting this incredible company? Back to you, Josh.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
Well.
Hey, so my first question would be, so I'll only speak for me and not all of Americans and not all of Midwesterners.
These are great.
But I know a lot of my family friends, big fans of chicken fried steak and gravy and cherry pie and a bunch of fattening double quarter pounders with cheese. So how have you begin to educate consumers on a healthier snack option or on a healthier option besides eating the entire canister like what Clay is doing literally at this very moment? So how have you educated the consumer base on a healthier option?
Definitely, and it's a big one for us. For me, the number one thing is taste. Our product has to taste good. So it's not like you're sacrificing anything. And it's a small switch over. So we're not saying you need to start eating seaweed snacks or, boiled quinoa or any of that sort of stuff. All we're saying is, hey, you can have a product that you enjoy and like in a format that you're familiar with. It's a small switch over to another brand that offers you all of that taste just without the nasty stuff in there. So it's
Great
actually
taste.
not that hard. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work getting that message out and getting the product into people's hands. But once they've tried it, they realize, well, it's not a sacrifice. I can feel a bit better about myself and still have a great tasting product.
Andrew, I need you to grab some of the people. We have a staff of, between our different businesses, we have hundreds of employees up here. They're full-time people, great people. Andrew, just grab some random people. We'll have them eat chips on the show, and then they can give us kind of a taste overview of the chips. But, Josh, what are other questions you have for Mr. Matthew Parry, the former 90210 star turned potato chip manufacturer man? But by the way, I'm looking at the back of this container, and there's almost no ingredients, man. I'm looking at the back of, like, Doritos, to get ready for the show. I went out and got some Doritos. I'm looking at the bag. Dude, there's tons of ingredients. This just has dried potatoes, palm oil, tapioca starch, salt, sugar, dextrose, white pepper. White pepper. Wow.
White paper. That's weird.
How do you have so few of ingredients? That's what I want to know before Josh asks you more questions. How do you have so few ingredients? It's so good.
Yeah, and for us it was actually, that's how you make it good. There shouldn't be all that stuff in there. So it's just a matter of taking the bad stuff out. You don't need MSG. You don't need flavor enhancers. You don't need flour and fillers and all of that. You just start with good quality potatoes. You fry them up. You put some flavoring on them. It's all it needs to be. So that's really the secret of sort of it. People, throughout the 80s and 90s, we got a bit obsessed with technology and science, and we can do better than nature, and let's replace all this natural stuff with chemicals and what man's made. And then I think we're now starting to realize that unfortunately we couldn't do it better, and there are a lot of side effects of putting all that junk in our food, and so we just took it out.
Well, here's the deal, Josh. You can vouch for me. We have Ben Summers, our search engine optimization manager here. Ben, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
Ben, previous to working here, you're working at Lowe's, right?
Correct.
You're not a chip expert,
I am not. No.
Are you a guy that likes chips?
I like Takis.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, they're so good.
Well, let me tell you what. We're here. We're on the show today with Matthew Parry, the guy who's the founder of Good Crisp. It's a chip you can buy in Whole Foods right now. It's one of their fastest selling, fastest growing products. It's doing really well. And I'm going to let you take the taste test here. Do you like Pringles, by the way?
I do indeed. Yes.
Really? So this is going head to head versus Pringles. Go ahead and have one.
All right.
Go ahead and eat it on the air here. We'll watch you.
like-
He's eating it on the air. Yeah, put it in your mouth. This is what you got to do. Oh no! Oh, nice. It's good form. Sounds you shouldn't normally eat, and be on a mic, but that doesn't matter. This is our own show. We do what we have to do here.
No
Okay.
manners here. Chew with your mouth open so we can hear the.
No. So tell us, what do you think? I mean, right now, enter and to tell Matthew what you think about the chip. Is it a good chip?
Yeah, it's a pretty good chip. I like it.
You do? You realize it's like 4 times healthier than Matthew. How much healthier is it than a Pringle? Tell us.
There's no scientific percentage, but we are relatively healthier.
There's very few ingredients in there.
Really?
It's gluten-free.
I did not taste the glutton. No.
No gluttonous
No.
gluten.
No glutton. Nope.
He's typically, by the way, Ben's a big gluten glutton. Let's have another person on the show here. Andrew, are you ready to come to pontificate about your opinions of these chips here? So, Andrew,
I'm so ready.
Andrew has started off as a photographer. Now he's a coder on the team. He does coaching with clients. Andrew, you worked at Chick-fil-A. That's your experience. You've eaten a lot of non-healthy food. How does this compare with the non-healthy food here?
As I just put one in my mouth.
No, talk about it while you're eating. That's
Okay.
great.
I think it's great. I haven't had a Pringle in a long time, but from what I remember, it does not taste much different, which if that's what you're going for, something healthy.
Yeah, but we love the taste
But
of
also-
Pringles, but we don't
Right.
want to have all the gluten in there. We want to
The
be
gluten. Hey, let me read these ingredients.
Yeah.
So we've got dried potatoes, palm oil, Topeka starch. We've got salt, sugar, and dextrose and white pepper. There's like 6 ingredients in here.
Okay,
That's it.
let me ask you this here. Okay, this is one of the 10 fastest growing brands in Whole Foods. Andrew, you can ask this guy any question you want. All right, Matthew Parry, you can ask him about some of
ready.
his love relationships while acting on 90210. You could ask him about Jason Priestley. You could ask anything you want to ask him. We're talking to Matthew Parry here. What questions do you have?
So Whole Foods, you said, was one of your first your big box stores. What did the process look like to reach out to the rest of them? Were you calling them? Were you visiting them? Were you dropping in, trying to talk with the buyer for Walmart, or what did that look like? Was it all at the trade show? How much reaching out? How much calling? How much visiting? How much of that did you have to do?
All of those things. So we sent samples to buyers. We reached out. We tried to find people who knew who they were. Some of the bigger challenges are certainly with larger stores are they only do a review or a look at their chip set once a year. So if you miss it, you've got to wait another 12 months before you can go and speak to them about getting your product on their store. So that was a big part of what we wanted to do. We were desperate to sort of get in before all of these reviews closed. So a varying mixture of all of those, but one of the easiest ones was getting into Walmart. So we sell in the gluten-free aisle of Walmart across every Walmart in the country.
Yeah, you do.
4,000 stores.
That's right.
It was just a matter of we just happened to be at the right place at the right time. We sent some samples in to the buyer. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm literally just doing the review now. These look good. I'll put you in." So then others we've tried and got nothing back. So sometimes it is just being at the right place with the right product. Then others it's just keep knocking until they answer.
Yeah. So with the samples that you sent out, were these like a chip? Was it like 2 chips, or did you send like a full can? Was it like a full sample? Was it
big
half a
box?
sample? Was it a?
Yeah, we send plenty of samples. I mean, one thing we've got for us is we like people to try our product. So we send samples, we give away samples. I mean, at summer camps with kids, we give away samples. At other events, anywhere we can get product into people's hands, we love to get it out there.
Here I'll just throw this out there for Matthew Parry. By the way, Matthew, you did not correct me. Apparently, you were a star on the hit show Friends, and not 90210.
That'd be Luke Perry.
My bad. See, this is what happens. You don't watch TV for 30 years and things change. Now, I'm going to throw this out there before I have our next guest on here to talk to you about her feelings about your Pringles. Matt, tell me this here, Josh. We don't have, I believe, you're a show sponsor, right? You're a Living Water Irrigation.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a Pringles competitor as a show sponsor? Do we have one yet?
We do not.
We don't have an official chip.
We do not.
Oh my gosh.
We do need
we
an
might need some
official
samples
chip
to make
of
that
the
change.
Thrive Time show.
We'll see. Okay, so Amelia, let's bring her on now. Amelia, what was your last job before coming to work here?
Yeah, so my last job, I was an office manager for a shipping company.
And what do you do here now? What do you do?
I am a business coach.
Okay, so you work with clients. What kind of clients do you work with? Throw out some of the names of some clients you work with that are great people.
Yeah, so I've got Jennifer at Legacy Home Decor. She's down in Texas.
Okay.
I've got Byron out in Hawaii. He's a free diver. Super
Ooh.
cool.
So all different industries. And would you consider yourself a chip expert?
Yes.
If Pringles were not bad for you, do you like the taste of Pringles?
I do. I love Pringles.
Okay, so what question do you have before you chomp into an incredible? Can I see the container again? This is an incredible container here. Love this thing. It looks just like a Pringle, but it's not bad for you. The Good Crisp. So, what question do you have for Mr. Matthew Parry about growing this company that is just growing all over the nation?
Yeah, so why chips? What was it about chips that you were like, yes, I'm going to make the healthy chip?
Paint them into a corner.
That's my dream.
Painted you into a corner. What do you got?
For us, I mean, everybody enjoys snacks. They're emotive. We eat them all the time. They're very, very popular. And it was the case for me. I thought, why? Yeah, I want to clean up my act and eat healthy, but like all of us, we're looking for the shortcuts. I mean, I want to eat healthy, but doesn't mean I want to give up on snacks. So how can I just make the snacks that I'm eating more healthier? And I eat a lot of potato chips, and so that was really the idea: is how can we get something that has all the taste but none of the guilt that I feel when I eat normal potato chips.
No, I tell you what, I was feeling guilty just about my life choices, but now I feel guilt-free. It's like I went to a confessional almost. I feel great about just life after doing this interview. Now tell us, Amelia, what do you think about the flavor of the original flavored potato crisps, these gluten-free, the Good Crisp company? What do you think about these things?
Oh, I think they beat Pringles, hands down. They're thicker chip. And
they're thicker chip.
And they're salty, but not too salty, so it's good.
This is incredible. This is changing my life. I might just eat chips on every show now. Parker, come on in here, man. Why don't you put some headphones on? Parker's a member of our search engine team. Parker, why don't you introduce yourself to Matthew? What were you doing before you started working here?
Hey, so
you got to eat that microphone like it's a chip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good at that. Okay, so before I came here, I was working as a quality control inspector at a concrete contract.
That's a lot like making chips. What question do you have for Matthew Parry about growing his great company, Good Crisp?
So do you have like other healthy food products that you have produced or plan on producing?
No, this is our focus. So we are just going to make canister chips in different flavors and different types and et cetera. So that's really our core focus. There's a lot of other brands out there doing great snacks, but what we can do differently is in the canister form. So that's really what our focus is. Okay,
well, I tell you what, we have with Tim from our call center here. Tim works in the call center. He answers the phone for thousands of clients that call him with questions there, Matthew. He'll be our final person to interrogate you, and then I have Josh has a final question, I have a final. So 3 final questions here. Tim, welcome onto the show. Are you a chip expert?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you eat Pringles? Before knowing about this product, do you eat Pringles?
Oh, yeah. I've finished a few cans by myself.
Okay, so have you sampled one yet?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about these chips?
I'm a little nervous because there's no way that those are healthier because they taste just as salty and greasy and fantastic.
They taste great, but they're better for you.
Yeah.
You've been tricked.
Doesn't make any sense.
What question do you have here for the founder, Matthew Parry, the founder of Good Crisp? This great product here.
Yeah. What's the future of Good Crisp looking like? Can we look forward to some new flavors? I like spicy stuff. Are we getting any spicy stuff later?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right, more flavors. We're doing some new packaging, lots of good things happening next year. But we're starting off with a salt and vinegar. We're doing an aged white cheddar. We are looking at some spicy products, maybe then some gourmet, high-end products. So, lots of great, exciting flavors to come still.
Oh, yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Now, you're in Colorado. Things are going well in Colorado. You're growing. How do you organize the first 4 hours of your typical day? How do you do it? What do the first 4 hours of your day look like typically?
Typically, so it's wake up and it's usually checking emails, making sure that nothing in Australia has gone wrong or other places like that where the time zones are different. So do a quick an hour or so of just making sure everything's okay there. Then it's breakfast and saying hi to the kids and spending some time with them in the morning before they go off to school, and then it's really knuckling down. So usually I'll have a list of the things that are top priority for that day, go through a couple of those, and then usually come into the office here and meet up with the team and have those sort of general discussions and meetings. So I spend a lot of time around new product development, working with investors, making sure, doing some key things like packaging and stuff like that. So that's how I tend to spend most of my day.
What is one book you'd recommend for all of our listeners? And then, Josh, I'll give you the final question. What's one book that has influenced you or impacted you that you'd recommend for all of our listeners?
Actually, the book I just finished lately, which I thought was fantastic, Don't Split the Difference, book on negotiation. The author escapes me at the moment, but fantastic book. Not necessarily great for negotiation, but also just how you think about business and discussing business sort of meetings. So I found that book really helpful.
We've actually had Chris Voss, the author of that book, on the show. We've had him on the show. It's a unicorn moment. Okay, Josh, what's your final question for the Kangaroo King, the king of the going head-to-head, waging war against the Darth Vader of chips, Pringles? What final question do you have for him?
Hey, Matt, so I just want to give you an opportunity to maybe encourage a lot of our listeners. There's a lot of our listeners out there that I'm sure are saying, hey, I had the idea for Uber and I just never did it, or maybe have a product. Obviously, you went into a market that is extremely competitive and thousands and thousands of SKUs. So how would you encourage our listeners who have that idea, who have that plan, who have that product, how would you encourage them just to take action and get started?
So I think the first really important thing is to ensure that there's actually a product and an idea that is going to be useful and or in demand. And that can, depending on industries, is difficult to work out. But that's the first part. I mean, a lot of people say just go for it, live your dreams. But reality is, if it's not a good dream, then you probably shouldn't go out and go for it. So I think spending as little amount as money and time as possible, try and quantify that. See what size your market is, see actually if there is a demand for it, if there's an opportunity for it, if you have the skills or people that have the skills to make it come true. So that would be my advice, is what is the minimum amount I can do to validate this dream, whether it's worth doing something about it, whether it's worth putting it in the bottom shelf.
The word demand and the word demon sound similar, but they're very different. And I find people have certain demons where they're going, I don't know what the deal is, but I just want to invent this product. And then you see the prototype and you go, that product should have never been made. No one wants that. But then they get stuck on that idea, trying to convince the world that they should prepay for 4 years of power washing at one time. They get stuck on the idea, convincing you that you want something that you don't want. And just because you want it doesn't mean other people do too. And Matthew, I appreciate you so much for sharing your time with us and for letting me so rudely eat your chips on the show. But I feel like the listeners needed to hear that crunch. It's a beautiful crunch.
Yeah, anyone eating my chips is always welcome.
All right. Well, hey, you take care, my friend. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
Attend the world's best business workshop led by America's #1 business coach for free by subscribing on iTunes and leaving us an objective review. Claim your tickets by emailing us proof that you did it and your contact information to info@thrivetimeshow.com.